Okay, so let me just sit down for a second. Yeah, I'm doing like a really spontaneous 24-hour reading vlog just because I haven't done one in a really long time, and I used to do them all the time. Obviously, you guys remember that back in the day, last year, not that long ago, and I miss it. I think I just like, I enjoy like the challenge of staying up super late and like having a low-key sleepover, but like not really a sleepover. Reading plans for this video, very much up in the air. I mean, right now I'm currently reading Our Way Back to Always by Nina Moreno, which is a YA romance, which I'm really, really loving. I think I'm gonna give it 5 stars. I'm pretty much at the halfway point now, but it's like, it's really cute. What I'm gonna read after that, I genuinely don't know. We'll come back to that, I don't know yet. In the meantime, between time, I'm actually kind of hungry. I'm also kind of craving a coffee or something. I think I'm gonna make an iced coffee right now. I'm whispering because my parents are definitely asleep right now. I'm downstairs. So I'm gonna make an iced coffee really quick and then take it upstairs, and then we're gonna get to reading, okay? So Our Way Back to Always follows 2 characters, Sam and Lou. So Sam and Lou are childhood best friends. They literally like grew up together like across the street. So like they're like the boy next door, the girl next door. They got the whole thing going on. So they've been friends since they were little kids. In 8th grade, Sam realized he was in love with Lou, and he like pretty much just kind of dropped it on her out of nowhere, and she wasn't really prepared for that at the time. So that kind of put a damper in their friendship. So they got into high school and they were no longer best friends. Sadly, Sam's dad died while they were in high school, and they spent like one night together, but haven't spoken really since then. Well, way back in the day, in middle school, they made a bucket list of all these things that they wanted to do together that they were going to do in the years down the line that they never did. Lou finds it one day, and she's like reading it in her treehouse in her yard, and she's just like looking at the list, whatever, and somehow, some way, Sam gets it, and they're just like, let's just do our list. For example, some of the things that they wanted to do were like apply to all the same colleges, learn how to kiss. A couple of new ones are added on there, which is really cute. And it's just like, it's a really sweet novel. It's dual POV. So you guys know I'm a big fan of that. The flow of the story is like perfect. The pacing is perfect. Like, I don't feel like it's taking too long for anything. I love that we don't stay in this area of them not being friends for too long. They kind of hop right into like being friends again, hop right into the bucket list thing, which is great. And the bucket list is really helping progress the story, which I'm enjoying, because like some of the things on the bucket list also involve like getting a New Year's kiss. So it's helping the timeline and the pacing of the story kind of move at a nice rate. And I also love that in this particular story, you have 2 characters who both were looking at colleges for different reasons, but now you have Sam, who's kind of exploring like being a firefighter, being an EMT. Like, I love that we're seeing a character take a different route. We're seeing a character who's like, college isn't for me, it's expensive, I can't afford it. Hey, that's a reality. That's all facts, okay? Because neither could I. I had to take out loans. And I think with Lou's character, the reason why I adore her so much, because I think in her mind, she believes that she's very like vulnerable. She's very sensitive. I think like in her mind, she doesn't see herself as being very extroverted. But when I read her character, I read a character who's brilliant, very intelligent. She's like into coding. She loves video games. She's kind and she's sweet, and she's a lot more confident than I think she realizes, because there are things that she's doing and things that she's willing to say and open up about that a lot of people just don't do. And I don't think that she gives herself enough credit. It's set in Florida, so obviously I'm biased, and I love the setting. I love the backdrop of Florida. I think that it's giving me like that warm, just summer feeling. Like, dang, I remember being in high school, and like my high school experience was pretty great. I mean, of course, it wasn't like it wasn't always perfect, but I had a pretty great high school experience for the most part, especially in summertime. Like, I didn't go to parties like that. I wasn't allowed. But it was fine because like I had a big group of friends. We would just get together and do stuff. Like, we'd have bonfires in my backyard. We go to the beach all the time. And I remember being at the beach several summers and just like being there all day and kicking it with my friends. And it was just a good freaking time. Like, dang, like high school kind of sucks sometimes, like the actual school year. But that age and that time of my life and those summers were pretty spectacular. And this book is just reminding me of all those good times that I look back on. I'm like, dang, I took that for granted. I wish I never did. But I like a book that makes me look back on my life and like smile and laugh at the memories I have with my friends. Because that's a good book. Okay, anyway, I'm gonna go now and get some stuff done, so. feel like such a loser right now because it's 8 a.m. Like it just hit 8. It's like 8:03 or something like that. And I fell asleep, which I'm not surprised. I think I stayed up until about 4 a.m. I'm not mad at myself about that. I'm just a little bit surprised, I think, because I used to be able to stay up. But I'm out of practice. It's not a big deal. It's fine. But I think I have about 70-ish pages left of Our Way Back to Always. So I did keep reading a lot last night. Really happy about that. I don't need it. I think I'm going to get more coffee. I need to eat too. My parents are still sleeping. I think it sounds pretty quiet in the house right now. So yeah. All right. Well, we'll see what I decide to do. Let me talk about my thoughts on Our Way Back to Always and why I love that book so much, why I gave it 5 stars. So Sam and Lou, they were the perfect set of best friends. I think my favorite part of this story was the simple fact that we had this bucket list that kind of really brought them back together. It was a thing that connected them when they were younger and that reconnected them when they were older. It was an adventure. It was fun. We got to follow along with them through each task that they had. Some were super small tasks, some were big, and I got to watch them build their friendship over again after not having been friends for quite some time, and then them both coming to the realization that they both have romantic feelings for each other and not really ignoring that. It wasn't huge in the sense of like the story revolved around their love, but it was definitely present. And I think for me that was huge because although it was a YA romance, you know, even when you're in love in real life, your life doesn't revolve around your love for someone or another person per se. So it was nice to see that they both acknowledged their feelings. It took some time for them to like really act on it, but they did, you know, they didn't really deny themselves their feelings. And I think that's what I don't see often. Like you usually see, like, I mean, I won't say usually, but I see in a lot of romances where two characters will be in love or they will be in like, and they'll deny themselves their feelings. Like, I can't feel this way about my best friend. It's not right. Like all these things, and that's just not true. So it was nice to see that they didn't pretend like it didn't exist, like it wasn't there. And I also will say, you know, like in a lot of romances, there's a third act breakup that people just absolutely hate, and it happens in almost every romance and in every rom-com movie. Like it just is a thing that it's formulaic, and it continues to happen because, let's be real, it sells. And I mean, although I still eat it up, I mean, it is nice to stumble across a book that doesn't really have that. So in this story, you do have a moment where they kind of have conflict, because it's always nice to see people overcome conflict together, but and they have a fight, but the fight literally lasts just like that. Like they have the fight, they walk away because they're both pretty freaking pissed and just like mad about the whole situation that's happening. I wouldn't so much say they're mad at each other, but they're just mad in general. And then Lou's just like, you know what, no, I need to go finish this fight with him. Like I can't leave this like this. So they talk it out, and when I tell you, it was just like so freaking nice to see that happen on page. The fight didn't last long, and like really and truly the bulk of the story was about Sam finding his way after his father's gone, kind of learning how to process his grief a year later, and to realize that it's okay that he doesn't want to take a traditional route in his life. And by traditional, I mean, you know, going off to college, right out of high school, going to university. You may not always have the means at that moment to do that, but that's okay. And then there are other things that you can do that you may realize that you want to do, and it doesn't require you to go to university. And then for Lou, you know, I told you earlier she's a coder. She likes to do things like coding and making things. Well, she made an app that was like a scavenger hunt, which I think is kind of an ode to like Sam and Lou's bucket list. Watching Lou build this app and gain more confidence in her ability to create things, and for her to recognize like, dang, I really am brilliant. Like I'm smart, you know, I have all of these abilities that I deserve to show the world. And it was just nice seeing the two of them really step into their own person and their own character, and their own interests. And then at the same time, watch them come together. It was just so nice. If I could be real with all of you, I would thoroughly enjoy a sequel to this book. So that was, yeah, it was great. So good, so good, so good, so good. let us discuss. It's Saturday night. I made a little drink because it's Saturday and I'm just feeling like it, you know? Let's talk about my current read right now though, because I'm actually really enjoying it. So I'm reading The Inheritance Games now by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. I'm on page 70, and so getting close to 100 pages. It's reading incredibly fast. A really quick rundown of like the backstory with our character Avery. Avery is this girl who comes from nothing, and she currently is living with her sister Libby, who's our half sister. She has no money, has no real family, but she's very smart. She enjoys riddles, she enjoys chess. She's a brilliant young girl. One day she gets called to the office because she is being summoned to the Hawthorne house to meet with the Hawthorne family because for some reason she is written into the will of Tobias Hawthorne. So she doesn't know this man. She gets there and the will gets read and she finds out that she pretty much inherits everything. And she's just like, whoa, pump the brakes. Why am I here? Like, I don't even know Tobias. I don't know any of you. We're not family. We're not friends. I've never met any of you before in my life. Off the bat, the tension is so heavy. I think that Jennifer Barnes did an incredible job of writing like the first 8 chapters in the sense of you really get a feel for who in the house is at odds already before Avery was even in the picture, and then you get a sense of Tobias and how he saw his family because of what he left each of them. Some got some money, some got a very small amount in comparison to others, and all of them pretty much don't understand why Avery got anything. And the heir, or the heir apparent, his name is Grayson Hawthorne, one of the grandsons, he is very pissed. Like, he's pissed off. And he feels like she's a con artist. He doesn't trust her. He thinks that she did something to weasel her way into their family somehow. And he's like, so help me God if I figure out that you conned your way into this family, into this will. You will regret it. So I'm like, oh shoot, okay. He's not playing around. Like, he's really pissed off. And I think what I'm loving so far too is like every Hawthorne brother is just very different. You have Xander, who's like the baby of the family. He's younger. He's very playful. He's just a breath of fresh air amongst a group of people who very much feel entitled and just like really high acidity, like, to be honest, just to keep it really frank here. And then you have Grayson, who is the heir apparent. He was the one who was supposed to inherit everything, pretty much stepping into his grandfather's position. And then you have Jameson, who I like the most. He flirts a little bit, I think, with Avery. He calls her Mystery Girl, which is kind of cute, but he's a bit more mysterious as well than the other brothers. He isn't one to show his cards or to really express himself too much so far, which I like. He's somebody that I think will bring a lot of character to the book, and I think that he'll really make the dynamic between Grayson and Avery a lot more interesting than it already is. Then you have Nash. Nash is this country Texan brother, and he's just kind of like the nonchalant brother. He cares, but not that much about the money. He thinks that they all deserve what they're getting for the most part. I like that they're all vastly different, that they all kind of have a part to play in this situation, but are not all too keen on showing their cards too soon to Avery or to each other. You have all these side characters involved, all these adults who are also pissed at Avery, who just feel like we're gonna find a way to undo this will and write you out of it. It's definitely entertaining. It's giving me like that rich people drama that I've been wanting to read about for like months now. The Hawthorne house is like special. Apparently it has like all these different passageways. It kind of gives me like Lock and Key vibes. If you've ever seen Lock and Key, the Key house has kind of its own personality. I'm excited to get more into that part of the story. Like, I want to see some vivid descriptions of this house and how it works. Is it a sentient house, or is it just kind of like at the will of the people who live there? Like, how does it really work? Yeah, it's pretty early. It's like 8 something right now, so like I've got all night to read. So I don't know, we'll see how it goes. My battery's not blinking, so it's like perfect timing. So I will actually check back in later on tonight. And yes, you're gonna notice I'm in the exact same spot, same outfit from earlier in the video, because I had to refilm my wrap-up of that book of Our Way Back to Always because the footage got messed up. The original footage was messed up, and that was like days ago, so I filming it all today, but that's fine. The Inheritance Games. I have so many things to say about this book because although I gave it 4 stars, I was teetering with this, like, did I like it? Do I love it? Am I annoyed right now? Like, am I having fun? I had a great time. I had a blast with this book. It definitely delivered in the end. So I don't remember the last thing I said in this vlog about this book. But as I got deeper into the story, because I will say, like, the pacing in the beginning was fantastic. In the middle, I was still very much invested, but I can see if a reader kind of felt a little bit off with the story in the middle, because it's like we're not getting that many answers to all of these riddles and clues in this game that the Hawthorne brothers and Avery are playing. So I can definitely see getting lost in the sauce a little bit in the middle of this book, any real answers. Now, Avery's life ends up getting endangered several times in this book, and at that point, pace picks up a bit. Now you're kind of like, okay, shoot, like, whoa, this is getting real. I will also say that this book was reminding me a lot of Pretty Little Liars. Now, I do find it quite ridiculous that the brothers believed that all these things were happening, that their grandfather created this whole game because of a girl. That part I was like, okay. I won't say too much more about that. That's all I'll say about that. There's a plot twist in the very end, which I will say, the actual twist in the very end of this book I didn't see coming, but there's a character in this book that I recognized was going to play a big part. I didn't know when. I just had a feeling, because you know when you're reading a book and there's like a detail that's given to you pretty early on, and you kind of file it in the back of your brain like, that feels like a detail that could be like overlooked easily, but there's a reason why the author wrote it in there and like gave it the specificity that they gave it, even though it was a very brief like description or whatever. And I called it. I didn't know what it was gonna be, but I did catch on. So I will give Jennifer Lynn Barnes the credit because for that little plot twist, because that plot twist, I literally was reading the book, I was like, oh shoot, okay. All right, I'm sold. I like it. The only thing that was kind of disappointing for me with this story was the Hawthorne house itself. Like, in my mind, this house is like, it's huge, it's vast, all these different compartments and hallways and blocked off wings. Like, there's so many places in this house. The descriptions were there, but something about the descriptions just felt flat to me. Like, it didn't feel like the house was alive. Like, a house like this should feel sentient. Like, it should feel, for me as a reader, like it has its own mind, its own way of working. And I didn't really get that. Like, I really wanted this atmosphere to feel like this really large, expansive maze that you could just easily get lost in, but that you can still understand, you can envision. The details were there, like I said, that just didn't feel very bold to me. It's the best way that I can put that. So yeah, I mean, but overall, I thought it was fantastic. I had been complaining about not having great reads for a while, but these two books for this vlog, I am so happy that I read them, because talk about success. I don't have book 2. I think it's A Hawthorne Legacy is book 2, and then I know The Final Gambit is book 3, but I am definitely reading The Hawthorne Legacy soon because I gotta get it. I have to get it. Yeah, this was good, and I really hope, I'm hoping that book 2 holds up to book 1, if not surpasses it. I'm really hopeful. So anyway, it's like 7 something right now, and it's Wednesday. Yes, it's definitely lasted longer than 24 hours. I know. You guys know I don't ever actually accomplish my reading in 24 hours. It's just a part of the fun of trying, you know what I'm saying? So it's definitely Wednesday, and that means it's Married at First Sight Wednesday, so I have to go get prepared for that. So anyway, thanks for hanging out with me once again, everybody, and I will see y'all next time.